So following the announcement of Diablo Immortal at Blizzcon, a lot of people have asked me to give an opinion on the situation and absolute PR nightmare following the game's reveal and live Q&A. But first, for those of you that aren't aware of what Diablo Immortal is or why people are pissed off about it, let me get you up to speed. For several years, fans of Diablo haven't had any big announcements in terms of new content for Diablo 3 or news of Diablo 4 or any news of remakes for Diablo 1 or 2 for PC. The last time anything substantial was released for Diablo was the Reaper of Souls expansion for Diablo 3 back in 2014. This led many people to believe that this was going to be the year where something big would be announced for Diablo at BlizzCon. This idea was further backed up by the fact that there were a few articles in regards to Blizzard posting job listings for an unannounced Diablo project earlier this year, and a few days before BlizzCon, a few fake BlizzCon leaks said there would be a Diablo 2 remastered announcement. Unfortunately, what fans got wasn't a new or remastered Diablo game for PC like they were hoping for, but a mobile MMORPG Diablo game for iOS and Android instead. Understandably, the fans weren't happy, and the reception to this game is probably the most negative I've ever seen, and if anything, it just goes to show how out of touch Blizzard are with their community. I mean, what the fuck did they think was going to happen? The vast majority of fans that attend BlizzCon are PC gamers. They're not interested in what's essentially a more shitty version of Diablo 3 on mobile, which will obviously have clunkier controls, a lower difficulty of content than a PC game, and be riddled with microtransactions. Of course people are going to be pissed off and disappointed if that's the only announcement one of your supposed core franchises has had in the past 4 to 5 years. Personally, I fucking hate mobile games. Other than old school RuneScape on mobile, that's the only decent one I can think of, I'd rather do nothing than play a mobile game. But I do have to admit, when I saw a bit of the gameplay from Diablo Immortal, I did think to myself, you know, for a mobile game, it looks decent in terms of gameplay. And I think if Blizzard had announced this alongside another Diablo project, maybe a Diablo remaster for PC, or even the slightest hint that Diablo 4 is in development, then I think the community reception would be completely different, maybe even slightly positive. It seems to me that as Blizzard has grown over the years into the mega company they are today, their focus has shifted from how can we please fans and make incredible games to how can we please investors and maintain unsustainable profit increases each year. From a business point of view, it's a very smart idea for them to make Diablo a mobile. In fact, I bet they'll make way more money by creating this mobile live service Diablo game than they would from making Diablo 4, simply because of how large the mobile market is and how popular mobile games are in China. It's depressing, but when you look at the revenue mobile games make, they can far surpass PC and console games, costing a fraction of the price to make. Just look at League of Legends. In 2017, their worldwide revenue was $2.1 billion, yet in the same year, a Chinese knockoff version of League on mobile called Arena of Valor surpassed $3 billion in a similar time frame, with 96% of their revenue coming from the Chinese market. I'm sure if Blizzard did make Diablo 4 or older Diablo remasters, it would be insanely popular and make a crap load of money, but as we've seen from the AAA gaming industry time and time again, a crap load of money just isn't the same as all of the money in the world, which they constantly seem to be striving to make, regardless of artistic integrity or respect from the audience that gave them their success in the first place. The truth is that a brand new traditional Diablo game on PC and consoles would be way harder to monetize than a mobile live service Diablo game. I think the most entertaining part of this shit show came from the reaction of the crowd after the game's announcement and Blizzard's attempt at damage control. Honestly, watching the opening ceremony and Q&A, I felt so bad for Wyatt Cheng for having to try and make the audience excited for this mobile game. It just wasn't happening. I think he was expecting roars of cheers and applause after the trailer, but instead he got a few claps and what I'd imagine to be many disappointed faces.
We want to use mobile devices as the platform for a new Diablo game, because nothing brings a family together like slaying demons. Diablo Immortal.
The The two highlights of the Diablo Immortal Q&A for me was the guy who asked if it would be available on PC, and also the guy who asked if it was a late April Fool's joke.
Is there any plans to make this playable on PC, or is this strictly mobile forever?
Are there any? The current plan is to be on mobile, both Android and iOS. We don't have any plans at the moment to do PC. Do you guys not have phones?
Yeah, you guys all have phones, right?
Hey, just was wondering, is this an out-of-season April Fool's joke?
No, it's a.
Unfortunately, nobody asked how aggressively Blizzard will be monetizing this game with microtransactions, which was the main thing I was interested in knowing. Something I think worth pointing out about this Diablo Immortal Q&A is that the developers didn't have answers to a lot of fairly basic questions people had about the game, such as release date, how does progression work, how difficult will it be, which leads me to believe that the game's a long way from release. I just wonder why they decided to announce this game at Blizzcon when it's so far out, rather than at a smaller event maybe focused on mobile phones or something. If they're announcing Diablo Immortal so early on in development, it makes me think that it's highly likely that there aren't currently any other Diablo games in the works, because anyone even remotely competent at marketing would know that this game is best announced alongside a Diablo product that your core fanbase actually wants. Something else that's been talked about a lot is that Blizzard seems to be contracting Chinese internet company NetEase to make Diablo Immortal, and a lot of people have pointed out that two of NetEase's previous mobile games, Crusaders of Light and Endless of God, look very similar in terms of user interface to the Diablo Immortal footage that was shown, causing many people to claim that Diablo Immortal is essentially a reskin of a Chinese Diablo ripoff. Personally, I'm not too sure if that's true. When it comes to UI design, it seems like there are a few differences, and honestly, I don't see any other way you could make an ARPG work on mobile without this kind of UI layout. To be honest, all mobile ARPGs look pretty similar anyway, so my assumption would be that NetEase either used some kind of mobile ARPG template or took inspiration from what worked in their previous games, but to me it does look a little bit more than just a reskin. One of the major talking points of this controversy was how Blizzard seemed to be censoring criticism by hiding top comments on both the Diablo Immortal gameplay trailer and cinematic trailer. Even I posted a few comments that got removed. Of course, this only made things worse and pissed people off even more, further perpetuating this absolute PR nightmare. They even uploaded separate unlisted versions of the cinematic and gameplay trailer on the Battle.net launcher to try and escape the dislikes. It didn't seem to work. Of course, all of this didn't seem to stop a lot of the so-called gaming journalists from rushing to Blizzard's defense on Twitter, with one absolute fucking twat trying to twist the entire situation to be a sexism issue and toxic masculinity. What a fucking bellend. Honestly, whenever there's a controversy in gaming that gamers are generally pissed off about, you always get these social justice retards trying to spin things and make it about politics, gender, and discrimination. Any form of negativity and criticism, some gaming journalists find toxic. You know what's more toxic? Allowing AAA publishers to continue to design games purely around monetization, gambling mechanics, and pay-to-win bullshit without calling them out on it. Negativity in gaming is a fucking good thing if you ask me. If it wasn't for negativity and gaming communities coming together to say fuck you to the suits at the top of these companies, then nothing would ever change. EA wouldn't have changed the loot boxes in Star Wars Battlefront 2, World of Warcraft Classic wouldn't be in development, old school RuneScape wouldn't exist. If nobody spoke out and complained about the direction we've slowly been heading in the gaming industry over the past few years because of fear of being perceived as toxic, we'd have much worse and more aggressively monetized games out today than we already do. So to all you toxic fuckers out there on YouTube and on the internet that actually complain about things you don't like about games or the games industry, thank you. What you're doing is better than pandering to AAA publishers that already make more money than you could possibly perceive, unlike some of the shills who consider themselves as games journalists. Other than that, I was quite happy about the Warcraft 3 remaster and release date announcement for WoW Classic, so at least that's a positive we can end this video on, and if you're a Diablo fan, then F's in the chat, I guess. But that's it for this video, guys. As always, I'd love to know your thoughts on this whole situation in the comments below. Do you think Diablo Immortal would have been received differently if it was announced alongside another Diablo game? Or are we just all entitled fucks admitting our toxic masculinity and should be ashamed of ourselves? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. But thanks for watching, I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you again really soon.